Guten Tag. Guten Tag. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Good morning. Good morning. Guten Morgen. North Dakota to Florida. Oh, that's a bit of a drive. That's a hike, as they say. Hola, hola, Brazil, fogo de chao. What's up, Brazil? Home of the giant, insane, fake bouncing booty. That's the greatest thing that Brazil has ever created, is the absurd, giant booty. The Brazilian butt lift. 32 hours. Fuck, bro. That's 32 hours road time, or like 32 hours with a rest in there. You know, like it's 32 hours total. I'm guessing it's road time. I'd be cautious about flying these days too. Yeah. Yeah. I am Steve. Oh, God. Chicken jockey. Chicken jockey. You got lice? Yes. I've got a horrible case of the lice. I can't stop. Won't stop. I'm breeding them. I'm creating them. And then what I do is I go out into public, right? And I'm like, I get a few of them on my fingers by scratching. And then I wait till a motherfucker ain't looking and I go. Dude, can we discuss the newest trend? Because it's one of the stupidest trends I've ever seen. The newest trend amongst children is trying to get people to say knee grow. Would you like a tree grow or a knee grow? Can we discuss this latest trend? Can we discuss this latest trend? Children, please, calm yourselves. And see, look, it drove them absolutely nuts. like a guy I could buy mushrooms from. The fact that you're out here in public talking about it means you couldn't buy. Dude, I wouldn't sell you a breath of fresh air. You're out here in public, blowing your whole fucking spot up, putting your business on Front Street, and you think anybody's gonna sell you mushrooms? Hell to the fuck no, kid. There's a concept I want you to look up. It's called the DL. Have you ever heard of the down low? Yeah. It's time. Went to school to be a doctor. Dropped out and came a baller. Man, this is an absolutely wild, this is a wild morning. I got to give you guys props. Everybody that's in here right now, especially those of you typing, this is, and I got to tell you, I do like one of these a day. This is the stupidest chat that I've had in probably 6 to 8 months. Like the absolute bottom barrel chat in at least 6 months. And the mods will back me on that. The level of dumb fuckery going on right now is actually, it's actually tip top. You guys are doing absolutely great. If the goal is to be retarded, if the goal is to actually appear like you're riding a short bus with a helmet on, banging your head against the window, you guys win. You did it. You are the dumbest bunch of fucks that I've ever seen. Congrats. That's terrible. My bad. I take it all back. I'm telling you, man. I don't know if you guys were, like, if there's some sort of contest going on for the literal most monosyllabic retarded chat ever, but you guys are fucking about to win. You guys are about to take the, you're about to take the fucking Guinness record, I think. The most retarded chat. Just read as it goes. Mods, take a break. Just read it. Take a quick break. Just read it. I just want you guys to see it. And think, now keep in mind when you're reading, these are not apes. These are not smelly apes smashing their paws up against a keyboard. These are dead-ass human beings. Watch it. It's a goddamn nightmare. It is an endless, spinning nightmare of retardism. And you're part of it. Congrats. Oh. Oh. yeah, snipe it up. But, point demonstrated. What's the main topic of conversation here? Because frankly, every YouTube chat is this way, not this one. This one remains this way for the first 15, 20 minutes of my stream, and then it really just smooths out. So it's like those initial... See, what happens is... I'll explain it to you guys, right? So everywhere in America, there are retarded people, right? And they're staring at their phone, drooling, right? And then I start a stream, right? And it goes bling on their phone, and they go and they wipe their paw against the screen. They go right, and I pop up, right, and that initial group of people are literally disabled. I'm gonna talk about full-blown disabled, right? And my mods, you see, there's 5, 6 of them, right? There's 5, 6 of them, right? They literally have to snipe these people for about 20 minutes every show. And then once that's done, what you're left with is people with half a brain in their skull. Like IQ 75 and up, right? But it takes about 15, 20 minutes of pruning to get the chat to be that. And that's pretty much every show, although I have to say, this morning's show has been one of the most retard-infested openings. Like, easily. In months. I can't really put it at all time yet. You're not exactly a prime example of human excellence yourself. Yeah, that's the point. This is the bar. And look at how many people are failing to meet it. You know what I mean? This is the bar. You can't reach it. You can't grab this brass ring. You can't meet this minimum standard. You know what I mean? You guys are literally getting kicked off the short bus for being unruly. It's unreal. It's unreal. But it keeps on going, until people are done. Until that initial wave of tards breaks and rolls back. I might need some coffee. I feel like coffee. Coffee is a necessity. That's right, Hugs. You tell them, Hugs. Where are you at? I'm in the forest. Deep in the forest. Far from the prying eyes. The only eyes that see what I do here are the birds and the bees and the trees. Is it finally over? Yeah, you've seen it. You've seen it happen. When I describe it like that, people start to see that the trade-off of making a stupid comment and then getting instantly banned is not worth being immediately associated with what I'm describing. But you have to describe to people what they're doing. You have to, I have to use my chops, man. I have to go, you know what I mean? I have to show them. And then they're like, wait a minute. If I go poop-a-doopy, I'm that. Okay, maybe I'll stop. And then they stop. You see what I mean? You literally have to hold the mirror up to them. And then all of them, they don't know what the next step is. They're like, wait, if I keep saying stupid things, I'm that. But I'm just going to scroll up. And they do. You can see they're leaving. I'm going to go find somebody that's stupid enough to engage with me. and they go. You see what I mean? And then the normalcy starts to kick in. Right around the 15-minute mark. That's about where it goes. Yeah. Can you inform TJ the Wizard of Oz hanging video is faked / edited? No. No. I cannot. Do you think the educational system failed them? Yes. Yeah. And that's just like, that's not my opinion. That's just numbers, right? 60% of adults today read at or below a 4th grade level. So yeah, there's no arguing it. I've seen people talking about like the maximum population of planet Earth, and it is something like 30 billion or something. I mean, the sheer amount of empty space left on Earth, empty, unexploited, right? The theoretical population of the Earth, the breaking point is something like 30 billion with a B. Paul isn't TJ's handler. Yeah, I'm his wrangler. Back! Ah! Whoosh! It's a pretty scary statistic. I just thought that anti-intellectualism was just Zoomer humor. Well, it is. Because they don't have access to any other type of humor. They can't. They can't grasp anything that requires a thought or having read a book or being introduced to a concept that they don't know. And so their humor is entirely poopy, butthole, Diddy Party, Minecraft Steve, you know what I mean? It's just literal. It's like their id it rules their daily life. 100% iPad babies, yeah. We're starting to see the front edge, right, of what is going to be a tidal wave of stupid. The iPad babies, the first iPad babies, are in their 20s now. I want you to think about that. The very first iPad babies in their early 20s now. It's happening, y'all. It's about to be unleashed. Imagine when this current crop of like 5 to 12-year-olds is 20. You talk about a nightmare scenario, you're watching it unfold. The coming tidal wave of stupidity should be a book, because we're watching the fucking tide roll back too far right now. We're watching it roll back, and we're wondering why all these like starfish and crabs and stuff are crawling around on this big expanse of new beach, and we don't see what's on the horizon. On the horizon is a tidal wave of incapable morons. They can't read. They can't interact with one another like human beings. They can't go 15 seconds without direct stimulation. They've got this new form of ramped up ADHD. They have no interests outside of esoteria, like things that they can easily understand, like anime or the cartoons they grew up. Like that's the most alarming thing that nobody's talking about, is somewhere in the last 3 generations, the "when I became a man, I put away childish things" trope stopped happening. So I'll give you an example. When I was 20, you would have never caught me in a million years wearing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shirt and uh, commissioning Ninja Turtles furry fan art. And you know what I'm talking about? You never would have caught me in a billion fucking years. I didn't even like watching Ninja Turtles after a certain point. But today, you'll have 20, 30-year-old grown-ass people who they spend all day watching the childhood shit that they watched. They watch cartoons all day. And nobody talks about this, right? And it's the only thing they reference. Grown-ass adults that reference cartoons and children's games. And that's the only references they know. They know Roblox, they know Minecraft, they know Fortnite, and they know SpongeBob. And that's about it. That's about that. Hopefully you don't want to, hopefully you don't need them to understand a literary reference outside of that scope, because it ain't gonna happen. Yeah, Pokemon, yep. Grown-ass men running around in Pokemon shirts, dealing Pokemon cards out with kids, playing children's games, watching children's content, watching children's cartoons. And nobody's saying anything about it? Like it's normal for people to run around. Like if I were like that, I would be sitting here going like, you guys are like Leonardo. You guys like Leonardo because he had two swords? Leonardo has two swords, and he's the only one that has a deadly weapon. Everybody else has a blunt or a defensive weapon. But Leonardo has two swords. You guys like Leonardo. That's what I would be speaking like if I had taken the same path that we're watching adults take now. And we're on the cusp of these people becoming adults and being expected to like do adult stuff. And it's like, and it's undeniable. It's here. The first little signs of it have already crested the shores. Some of them can't even communicate in words. They just literally like hammer their slobber covered paw on a bunch of emojis. Like some of them can't even, because they know it's a waste of time for them to try and type a word because they can't read. So some of them just hammer an emoji button. Big stinky paw. And you can see certain topics trigger them. Like when I started talking about how they only watch cartoons, the band ratio went super high. You know why? Because the people that are too stupid to talk hear something that pisses them off. They hear that they shouldn't be 25-year-old men talking about SpongeBob all day. They don't like it, but they don't know how to fight against it other than to wipe their slobbery paw on the screen. You fat, you old, you stupid. It's like, you're not doing well to dissuade me of my hypothesis. Yeah, let her watch one of these. I'm dead ass. Let her watch you, sit down with her and moderate one of these and show her what her children are becoming. Let her listen to me talk about it, right? Show her one of these. say these are presumably mostly 20 and up. These people that are getting banned over and over, that can't type, that don't know the difference between there, and there, that don't know which your to use. So they use your for everything. You see? Just show them. Show her this. I don't know any better demonstration of the inability to communicate than a YouTube chat. What are my pronouns? It. No. He, him, I guess. Left, and leftist. Do you know any Gen Z lingo at all? Oh, everybody knows some, right? What do I enjoy for fun? Hobbies? I like movies. I went to a concert last night, which was cool. I saw Alice Longview Gow in Seattle. It was cool. It was a cool show. It was a small venue, so it was kind of neat. It was dope. It was a dope little concert, and the venue was super interesting. I don't know if it'll work for one of our meetups, but it's like compelling. I'm gonna give the guys the info, and I'm gonna give them like the straight skinny on the venue. The venue is weird, but the vibe is correct. So I don't know. I think it would work. I think it might be a little awkward. We might have to figure some things out, but I watched the show, right? So I'm down in the venue, the Barboza in Seattle. I'm down in the venue, right? I'm watching the show, and I'm kind of like keeping my eye on the bar, right? People are drinking. Like, there's a couple of people with drinks. People are going to the bar to get a drink, right? But I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, there's probably like max 200 people here, right? Max. There's 200 people. If this was our people, that bar would be swarmed. Like, that was the thought that kept going through my head. This venue has such a weird split to it that it makes it hard to recommend to the guys, but looking at the venue, the vibe is so fucking dead on correct. Like, the space would work. The space is great. But the way that the space works is kind of strange. But the thought that kept going through my head is, we could make these people so much fucking money with one show. Because they have, you know, I mean, Alice Longview Gow is not like the biggest star in the world or whatever, but they had her roll through there, and they had 4 people working the bar. 4. They had 3 tenders and 2 runners running around. So one tender would run and blah, 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 blah. So there was at least 4 girls working the downstairs, which is the Barboza venue. And the bar was dead. And all I could think was, this place would make triple the amount of money on our show that they did hosting Alice Gow. Triple. On a bad night. And that's the hard thing, is like, how do you explain that to a venue without
without numbers?
Without, well, no, not with, because we've got numbers.
Yeah.
We're putting together a packet.
Oh, yeah.
Of like, here are the shows we've done. Here's the attendance. Here are the venues.
The bar minimums.
Here are the bar minimums that we've exceeded. Here's what we brought home here. Here's what we took at the door there. Mm-hmm. We're getting that whole fucking shit. Because you can't, I don't want to, it's when you go to these venue people, mm-hmm. they don't like to be told.
No.
They don't like to be told because they know,
Yeah.
right? And so they don't want to be told, like, hey, dude, I came to a show here and I watched you guys host a fucking big act who, like, I'm going to be honest with you, actively pushed against the bar. Literally in the middle of her show was talking about how nice it was to be at a show where everybody wasn't sloppy drunk, and how she liked not being drunk, and how you don't need booze to feel good. And it's like, whatever. It's like, that's a good message, but you're not selling any fucking, you're not helping this venue at all with that. And it's just like, all I could think was, dude, if that was our 200 people, because that's about what comes to one of our meetups, 200 people. That was our 200. That bar would have been swarmed. Every last one of those girls would have been fucking dripping in sweat and covered in tips. It would have been insane for that venue for a one-night turnaround. They made jack shit on that show last night. Jack shit.
I mean, there were people getting drinks, but it was not like a consistent line of people.
When you pay out the staff, what did they make it? A little bit on the door, a little bit on booze, a couple grand maybe they put in their pockets on that one show. Dude, we'd do a 10K night. When you do door, when you do drinks, we do a 10K night. Easy for a bar. Well, the Blu-ray is going to be part of the packet. We're having a cut made of the Blu-ray that shows off. You know what I mean? And that's going to go to these venues. It's like, here are the venues we've done. Here are the show attendances that we've had. Here's what we're going to do for you. Here's our method of pushing bar minimum. Here's a video of our latest meetup. Here's this, here's that, right? Because, like, you know, when you approach these people, what they hear is vanity show or private family party where everybody's, you know, it's maybe 15 people show up and they're fucking ass out for the night or some shit. Like, they don't get it. Like, we've got a large, motivated audience that'll show up. We're a boozy fucking show, so they're gonna buy drinks.
Well, just too, like, the way your show is set up, you're not gonna be having people watching you on the stage the whole time.
No.
You're gonna be doing it for like an hour or two max, and then you're gonna release them to the bar.
That's what I tell them.
Yeah.
Is like, you know what I mean? But, like, that's what we try and tell them, but they don't understand this. Some of the venues do. That Vegas venue immediately got what we were saying.
Yeah.
And we're super excited. And they made a lot of money that night. So
They wanted to book you again.
That venue wanted us back.
They thought that you could repeat it.
Yeah, they thought we would just turn it around every month, and it's like, that's not really what we do. This is a once or twice a year thing that we do, and it's big. And it's going to make your bar a lot of money, but it's hard to explain that to people because they probably get approached with a lot of this type of shit. Oh, we're going to do a party, we're going to do this. It's like, fuck, bro. But yeah, I'm just going to give the guys the straight up on the venue and how it turned out and everything. I won't sugarcoat it, but I will let them know that it's a possibility. It's entirely a possibility. outside, D? You go in? Or you want to stay out?
Yeah. Wants his brekkie.
Oh. He'll get his brekkie in a minute. You don't have to wait.
Wanted to lay down with Mom. You probably would have gotten it for him.
I would have, but he wouldn't budge in this morning. Specific, dude. Oh my god, bro. What is the specific topic, bro? Oh my god. We're all doomed. What is the specific topic we're talking about today? Man. There's been a... Well, sorry, I'm half asleep. That doesn't matter. People aren't retarded when they're half asleep. You understand? Like, that might forgive, like, a little bit, but you're acting retarded. I don't know what made Joe Rogan famous. I think it was Fear Factor. At least that made him like a celebrity or whatever. But he didn't really achieve like mega celebrity until he started doing his own show. He was kind of a middling stand-up comic guy. During your talk about possible venues for a meetup, the only thing of substance said in chat came from hugs. Yeah. That's pretty much the case. That's how it works. I have not seen that one. I don't really watch Joe Rogan all that much. What kind of meetup? Podcast. Full got called retarded for a spelling mistake. Bro, get over it, man. See, you're awake now at least. I helped you wake all the way up because now you're pissed. Listen. Can you spell the word properly that you misspelled? What's the spaffic or whatever you said? What can you spell specific? I mean, you have plenty of time. You have plenty of time, bro. You act like you never made a typo in your life. There's a typo, and then there's endless typos, bro. Is that what you're claiming? Is that what I'm seeing is not retardism, but just endless typos? Why can't people type? There's autocorrect. Your phone damn near types for you, and people still sound like cave people. Why is that? Can you explain that one to me? Because I'd love to be disabused of the notion that it's because people are stupid. So people are brilliant, and the reason that they type like cavemen is the reason they type like cavemen in a world where your phone damn near types your comment for you and will correct you when your monkey ass types something wrong. You still get it wrong because no, you don't deserve an apology from me. I've done you no wrong, sir. Your life will go on today. Some people type too quickly and hit send. We all do it. But why? Why does everybody do it? When there's a big band spree going on in here, why does everybody sound like a caveman? That's not like type quick and send it, because your phone's real quick at autocorrect too. You see what I mean? Lack of self-awareness, offloading the effort onto the reader. Yes. Yes, exactly. I'm going to type what amounts to monkey hieroglyphics on the phone, and it's up to the person to interpret what the fuck I mean, even though it's like rife with misspellings, misuses, or as this person is trying to convince me in the chat, typos. You know what I mean? And it's up to me to figure out what these motherfuckers are actually trying to say. No. No. Bro, that's not, you understand that give me a hard word and I'll spell it? The whole reason this rant is happening is because we live in a world where your phone autocorrects, bro. Your phone will automatically tell you like, hey, dumb, you spelled this wrong. And yet it still goes out. There's a free app, y'all, called Grammarly. It's free. And it'll work with any other fucking app, and it'll help you with your grammar too. It'll autocorrect when you're like, you're funny, and you use Y-O-U-R, like it's the possessive, right? That's not a typo. That's you don't know the difference between the possessive, your, and the contraction, you are. Right? That's not a typo. That's third grade grammar. You missed third grade grammar. I can't help you with that, bro. And your phone can. But for some reason, people won't take the step of, because like I'm telling you, Grammarly is like, it's like, it's like a secret spy disguise for retarded people. Yeah. Grammarly is like a secret spy disguise for retarded people, and I don't know why they haven't figured it out yet. It would help me so much if you guys figured out how to use the free app that makes you not sound like a moron when you type. It'd be super simple to go get that. If English is your second language, right, then you haven't learned your second language yet. Show me your PhD. Let me spark up my PhD. There you go. Yeah. Go to my Discord and show me your PhD. I'd love to see your PhD and hear the deep thoughts that come from the mind of a PhD. Yes, exactly. Pretty hot doobie. Why smoke that? Because it makes you high. Got to cough to get off, etc. What degree farms like schools that give people degrees for money? Oh, you're talking about diploma mills. Yeah. So these are spurious organizations that offer a high degree without full accreditation. And it's basically just a fake degree that people can use to get raises at work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or to get access to better jobs. Cool. Neato burrito friend. Sleazy business. I think that the idea of academia and the way that it's applied across the economy, I think that's sleazy. So I think it's a sleazy business in support of a sleazy business. Do you know any other languages besides English? Oui, absolument. Je parle souvent avec mes amis francophones. Lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sí, señor. Yo hablo un poquito de español. Por fin. Wo shi Juan Meg wo ren. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The translator sunglasses are pretty cool. No. Wo shi Meg wo ren. Nina. Wo shi Janada ren. Nina. Oh, crikey, mate. A fucking bogan. I should have known you were a fucking bogan, bro. I should have known you were a bogan. I should have pegged it. Too spicy. I should have known. Now I know. Oh, bum is a ciggy, mate. Bum us a loiter, eh? Bum us a loiter, mate, and bum us a ciggy, eh? Eh? Oh, you know there's a couple of Arabic bogans. You know it. Come on, buddy. There's a couple of Arabic bogans. You ain't gotta lie, dude. You ain't gotta lie. I've seen it. I've seen it. You're full of shit. You're full of shit, Gassan. You're full of beans, as my old grandpappy would say. You're full of beans. You're full of beans. I don't trust anybody. Number one, trust no one, Gassan. Trust no one. So I don't trust you. I don't trust him, and I don't trust him. There's only one man on this planet that I trust. I'm pretty sure they exist, bro. Oi, salam. Bummas a loida. Bummas a siggy, salam. Habibi. Bummas a loida. They're out, you know they're out there, bro. What era of history do you like best? Um, well, when I was younger, I used to be super interested in dynastic Egypt, and I still am. I still find that period of history, the unbroken chain of dynastic Egypt. You know, like I can't remember the number, but there, like in Europe, uh, there were eight like royal families or whatever, and in Egypt at the same time, there had been 10 dynasties of kings. So super interesting. I don't know if those numbers are correct, but you know what I mean. It's like an absurd, unbroken chain of successful dynastic rule. But lately, I've been into the Mesopotamian civilizations of Ur and what's the other one over there? Oh, I can't remember now. My stoned ass hasn't. It's been too long since I learned about it, but that's been the ones that I've been most interested in. The kind of two converging societies in Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers that invented mathematics and written language and wrote the first fictional epic, Gilgamesh, right? Why are there so many deadly critters in Australia? Because Australia is fucked up. Think about it, bro. It's a giant island It was sealed off from the rest of the world for millennia, right? And all of these fucking like creatures had no selective pressure outside of that island, and so it created all these super venomous, deadly, odd, like marsupials came to be on the island because of it. Fucking duck-billed platypuses and shit. Fucking crabs that'll sting you and kill you. They got everything over there, bro. Are back at the time of the Egyptians, the area around the pyramids would flood. Is that what helped them build them? Probably. Probably, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just interested. I find the civilization and the operation of average people in that civilization to be super unique and interesting. It would be so fascinating for me to go as like a ghost, right? Where, you know, you can't interact with anybody, but you can just sit and observe. And I would just find a spot and I would sit and I would probably spend fucking months just watching how people go about their lives 10,000 years ago, right? Most of the pyramid is granite, right? There's like a ton of granite superstructure inside. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. Hello, mate. What's your opinion on the UK? I'm pretty sad for the UK, I gotta be honest with you. I feel like if I was stuck in the UK, I'd probably be pretty sad, man. UK is tiny, blighted, horrible, and, you know. But I genuinely feel bad for the UK. Yeah. I don't know though. I don't know if I'd have as much fun observing the Cretaceous era as I would going to Ur or Sumer and just sitting in the like, you know, the market and watching people come and go, watching people transact and speak and write things down and exchange things and go on about their business, and watching the flow of the crowds through it and watching the day start and end, right? Like how do things wind down? How does the nature of the character of this place change as the sun goes down? What's it like when it's asleep? What's it like when it wakes up in the morning? Who are the first people in the city to be awake? What do they do, right? What's the first task in the city? Is it something like the first task in our cities? Warming up the ovens, laying out the merchandise, opening up the shop, you know what I mean? Or, you know, is it different? It is just interesting, right? Yesterday, I was up on Capitol Hill in Seattle, and my wife and I went and saw a show there, but we got there early because we wanted to walk around the neighborhood and chill and find a place to eat. And we ended up sitting on a bus bench, just people watching for about an hour, right? And there was a dude sitting next to me, not next to me, but on the bench next to us. And I looked over at him at one point, and he had tinfoil like this and his lighter, and he was nodded out. So he just like sat there and toasted a Fent pill or whatever, and just nodded out with his drugs and his whole rig, right? And then so he's a part of this tapestry, and then I just started like walking, like watching people as they walked, right? And if you've ever been to Seattle, it is such an insanely diverse place. And that makes me feel super, super like safe, even in a place where if you don't have your head on a swivel, it's a city, right? So there are people looking to pick your pocket, rob you, that sort of thing. But there was none of that going on in the city. There was a knotted out Fent addict sitting next to me. Some dude walked by him, saw that he was knotted out, and grabbed the shit and threw it on the ground and stomped it and looked at me and he said, "He don't need it." And I said, "No, he don't." The dude walked off. And but I people watched for a good hour, and it's been a long time since because I'm not an urban guy. I don't like cities. I didn't grow up in a big city. I've lived in big cities, and I've always felt like a fish out of water in them. So I don't go to cities very often. And you can see I live in the fucking forest for a reason. But it was interesting to be in the city and to see to do that people watching and to see the multicultural, diverse, like every rung on the economic spectrum was represented, racial, religious, you know, LGBTQ, like it was everything that humanity is, all living cheek by jowl in this insane city. You know what I mean? Um, New York Times, New York City is the first place I ever did people watching in. My father and I traveled to New York City, I think it was in 1995. It was either 4 or 5. And we were staying near Times Square in a walk up. And we would just go out into the city and get on the subway just to see where we would end up, right? And we got on the subway one day and we rode it for a while until it got to, we saw the list of things that were at the next stop, and one of them was the Apollo Theater, and that's in Harlem, right? And we got out, we got off the subway in Harlem, and we sat on a bench right across the street from the Apollo Theater. Not a bench, but like a little brick wall thing that was part of the architecture. We sat there, and we sat there for what must have been 3-4 hours, just watching, just literally just like people watching. Super, super cool. I'm super interested in it. It's very interesting to me. But it is also something that I have to go into the belly of the beast to obtain, and I really don't like it, man. Going into a big city, we're not talking about like a smaller town or whatever. We're talking about like Seattle or LA or Frisco or San Diego or Portland, right? Tacoma. These big areas, they make me so uncomfortable. Like I feel so like I have to really like fight against my instincts to turn around and leave. You know what I mean? Like there's just something I just don't. I've had my experience in the big city, and there's an allure to it. I think I could do it. It's not like but like living how I do, going into the city is always like a negative thing. Oh yeah. Well, one of the things that I enjoy about people watching is, like I said, at this little place in Capitol Hill that we sat, we're such a busy little area near the college and everything, right? So there's college students, there's business professionals, there's middle class people, there's poor folks. They're all coming in and out. They're all riding the tram. But none of them are like, yeah, they're walking in small groups of 2 and 3, but none of them interact with anybody else. It's almost like there's this unwritten law of like, don't fucking pay attention to me and I won't fucking pay attention to you. And that's how it works. And that to me is so contrary to how humans are, that it makes me, it's odd for me to be around it. New York definitely has the highest, most perfected concentration of that kind of behavior. I don't know. I've seen it in every fucking big city. I don't know that New England is uniquely that or not. I haven't really spent a lot of time in New England, but I can tell you that LA is that, New York is that, Jersey is that, to an extent. New Orleans is that, but it's frayed at the edges of New Orleans. It's a little bit different in some southern cities, but not that much. San Antonio was that. So I think it is more it's more of a trait of large cities. Yeah, Houston is like that, yeah. Well, the smaller the town, the friendlier the people is what I've found. Because people need to know each other in a smaller space, right? Some great music come from Heartbreak, sure. Yeah, a lot of great art. A lot of great art has come from unrequited love and heartache and heartbreak and loss. Yeah. Music and art are one of the ways that human beings process those feelings, whether by consuming them or observing or interacting with them or by creating them or both. Pretty neat. We don't even talk anymore. We don't even know what we argue about. Oh, did I? Well, thank you, baby. Keen eye. That's a huge mug.
Yeah.
And that's true, too, on the mug. It says, I heart fall most of all. And that is true. I do heart fall most of all.
That was the. These were the only ones that were clean, so we both got big old mugs.
Sick. This is a cauldron of coffee right here. I'm fucking stoked.
I think mine's about as big as yours, though.
It is, yeah. Yours is a little taller. Mine's a little fatter. But we're about, yeah, I'd say we're about equal. Coffee time, yes. I think it's beyond coffee time for me. I don't know what I've been doing, spinning my wheels out here with no caffeine. It's like a breakfast with no bacon. You guys ever seen the movie Dutch? Did we watch Dutch together?
I don't.
With Ed O'Neill, he's like a working class guy dating like a rich guy's ex, and he has to go pick up her son from that school.
Oh yeah, we did.
And her son
Yeah,
is
we
yeah.
did.
Okay. I think about that movie fucking 24/7. I am obsessed with that movie. I don't know why, but I think about that movie all day long, and it's been since I was a teenager when I saw that movie.
They rated it 17% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That is so fucking lame. Rotten Tomatoes is so retarded, and I hate that website. Dutch is a great fucking film, dude. It is it's written by that guy that did 16 Candles and Breakfast Club and St. Elmo's Fire and Pretty in Pink. That dude. It's one of his movies. So the dialogue is great. It's a great encapsulation of the 90s, kind of early 90s, late 80s aesthetic.
You know what it is? A lot of these bad reviews are like decades after it came out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. These people don't get it. They take it out of the time that it existed in.
They need to update Rotten Tomatoes of like only poll reviews from the time it came out.
They need to
From
make
the critic reviews.
They need to make Rotten Tomatoes a true social media site.
Yeah, like just fuck the professional critic reviews.
No, well, they can add those in and give the critics extra status in the community or whatever. But they need to make it like maybe democratize it like Reddit, where if somebody writes a dumbass review that nobody agrees with, it gets downvoted. I don't know how they do it, but I think that the way that it works now,
there's such a huge disconnect between audience and critic scores on a lot of these.
Like the way I see Rotten Tomatoes is, it is there to do two things: suck people into watching shitty movies that aren't that good, and ward people off of trying anything that's outside of the box. That's what it does. So it fucking sucks.
Remember we watched that terrible Angelina Jolie firefighter movie, and it was like rated well on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. It's unreal. You'll watch Dutch today? Cool. Yeah. It's got Ethan Embry in it as well, who you'll recognize if you look into who he is. You probably won't. Maybe you will. But Ethan Embry, he was in... later in the 90s, he was in Empire Records. And he's been in a number of other movies. I can't think of them now, but he's a well-known... He's been a working actor, and he was like a child actor in this. So, John Hughes, thank you. Yeah, it's a John Hughes movie, so it's like... I'm a sucker for John Hughes writing. Vegas Vacation, yeah. I don't tend to listen to critics much anymore. I think some of them are paid off. A lot of them are, like, not necessarily directly on the payroll, but...
But, like, the way they choose who their critics are for reviews is kind of weird. Like,
it's
especially for older movies, they just kind of pick random movie review websites.
Which sucks. Instead of going back and just like, because a lot of these, you can find the archival reviews from but it would take time. Somebody would have to go and pull those and translate them onto the website, and you'd have to get permission from those
to republish.
to republish, and it's just so yeah. I think personally that more modern mainstream reviewers should go back and start reviewing old movies and give people a look at like some of this stuff. Don't let a movie be poo-pooed by the masses that just because it's like out of the time.
Yeah.
That it, you know what I mean?
Like, cause that Trading Places we watched, it's considered at the time like one of the best comedies.
It still is.
But if you put it up to today's lens, it probably wouldn't.
No, there's a couple of scenes in it in particular that just wouldn't fly. There's a full-blown like blackface scene. It just wouldn't happen. There's like, you know, gorilla rape is the end result of that movie. Literally. Endless, inescapable gorilla rape is how the bad guy gets punished in that movie. Not even really the main bad guy.
No.
Just like one of the side bad guys gets raped by a gorilla for the rest of his life. It's not going to go over well these days, you know. You know, every once in a while a movie will transgress and feel like a 90s movie.
Yeah.
The Kingsman.
Yeah.
Remember that ending of that movie? Where he's like, I'm going to fuck the princess up the ass. And then he just goes and does it. Yeah. That's the end. It's like, okay. All right, fair enough. It's like, okay, a little bit of 90s came out of there, you know. She asked for it. I know, but whatever. You know what I mean?
It's still like very 90s conquest.
Yeah, ending a movie with anal conquest of the princess is pretty fucking crazy. You know, if you really think about it. Oh, I love the 90s edge because I gotta tell you, man, I lived through that shit and I understand some of it because I was on the receiving end of some of it, dude. I got called faggot every day. And, you know, I was at that time a closeted kid, and so, like, I really had some of those feelings, and then people were, like, you know, very mean with it back in those days, but a lot of the stuff that, is, like, kind of looked at with an eyebrow raised. Where's he going, man? He's on a mission, bro. Something pissed him off big time over there. I can't even remember what I was talking about. Dinor just shocked me out of it. What is it?
It's around the corner, so... Maybe a cat.
It was a squirrel on that. The squirrels run along that fence all the time.
Either a squirrel or a cat or something ran off. Dino had to make extra sure that they were gone.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of the comedy was in furtherance of like a lot of it was done to bring awareness to an issue or to highlight something that's ultimately kind of funny, right? Like the idea of Dan Aykroyd putting on fake dreads and blackface and pretending to be a Rasta man to pull off a heist is, like, that is a funny idea. Yeah. And that was the 90s. If it was funny, they were willing to try to touch on it. Even if it was inadvisably funny, right? I don't think, I don't know, man. Like, watching that scene, I don't know how a black person would feel watching it, but I didn't feel like, I don't know, I didn't feel like it was done in the most distasteful way, being a blackface scene, I guess. Given the, you know, especially given the politics of the 80s where the movie was made. It was not unheard of. And you kind of gotta wonder, like, did Eddie Murphy co-sign on that? He was a powerful guy at the time that movie was made.
I don't know if he was yet. I think he was starting to ascend, but I don't know if he
No, he was. Yeah, he Beverly Hills Cop, The Golden Child had happened prior to Trading Places. He was a huge star. So his stand-up career had started by that time. So you gotta wonder.
But how did it be compared to Dan Aykroyd?
Well, and Eddie Murphy did a lot of racial humor too.
Yeah.
In his stand-up shit, and has done whiteface in a lot of his movies as well. So it's like, I think that the tolerance level for kind of different races poking fun at one another was way higher then. And I think that might be healthier than the we don't ever poke fun at each other kind of narrative. And I don't think that's all it is now, because there's still a lot of comics out there pushing those kind of boundaries and shit. But I feel like it's harder to do now. I feel like there was kind of a mutual tongue-in-cheek aspect to 80s and 90s comedy that's now kind of segmented into different groups of comics that won't work with each other and hate each other because they won't cover this or they do cover this. It's become political and ideological. I still eat at White Castle. Ban him. Is Dave Chappelle smart for not selling out as a comic and therefore keeping all his earnings? Well, he didn't. I mean, he got kind of royally screwed over by Comedy Central. And kind of remade his career as a solo comic as a result of that. So a lot of people don't remember that, but Dave Chappelle disappeared off the face of the earth. He went to Africa, and nobody knew where the fuck he was for like 3 or 4 years, I think. And then all of a sudden he started showing back up in clubs, like small clubs. The news picked it up, like, so dude went and...
Yeah, with season 3 of the Chappelle show, he just went to Africa.
Yeah, because they were fucking him out of his due and proper. They weren't paying him properly. And so a lot of people forget that, but yeah, Dave Chappelle fucking flipped out, went on a soul-searching mission, and disappeared to Africa for a while. Because he had just been utterly and completely raked over the coals by Comedy Central. Oh yeah, and of course they slandered him as a crack addict. They said that he had flipped out and had a drug problem, and that's why he, you know, blah, blah, blah. It was wild. So yeah, Dave Chappelle kind of has a career now based around not really working with other people. He just works with himself.
Set the whole neighborhood off.
Whole neighborhood's pissed and out, dude. Set off a tizzy. Set off a whole tizzy, D. What's eating Dinor? Probably a squirrel. We didn't see it this time, but something pissed him royally the fuck off. to the point where he not only barked, but he went down the long stairs, grousing and grumbling and boofing the whole way to check it out in person. Which, you know, so it must have meant like a squirrel was down near the deck or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe he saw a mole going up under there. I don't know. Dinor hates him a mole. Is it a Jack Russell? No, I'll show you what it is. Ugh, come here, dude. Come on, come see me. I want to see you. Come get my lap. This is what it is. A hairy mutant beast of epic proportions, with googly human-like eyes, and the voice of 1,000 kings. A resplendent beast. A splendiferous beast. Hot diggity Dinor. A majestic beast indeed. Mogwai, yeah, kind of.
I was like, I don't know about that, Dad.
You don't like it? You don't like a mogwai? Ugh. The devourer of squirrels and baby moles, yep. I don't even know now that it was a baby. I thought moles were bigger than they are. They're pretty small animals, apparently. Rawr. What can you Americans teach us European folk? We've already taught you everything we can. Our language, our lingo, our fashion, our music, our movies, our disgusting gut bucket food. We've given all of it to you. You have everything you need now to be an American. We've given you the keys to the kingdom. All you have to do is walk through the door and take your place on the many thrones. How often does D get a grooming? D hasn't had an actual grooming in some time, since we moved here. And it's a maintenance thing with me and Amelia. We have to kind of keep up with the mats that he gets and brush him out. But it seems like we're doing okay. And we're going to look into getting some clippers, and I'm going to see if I can just give him like a trim in the areas that have a tendency to get those mats, because we live in an environment where him having his full coat, I know he's more comfortable. Like, he would be way, way colder here if we were, you know, shaving him down like we would in the valley when we lived in Cali. So, I don't know. But, typically, if we're taking him in to get like a full cut at the groomer, he'd probably go in once every what, like 4 months,
Yeah.
3 months.
We'll see. We'll try getting some clippers.
Yeah, I just want to see what I can make happen because the good thing about us doing it ourselves is we can do it in chunks like we do.
Yeah.
So, when he gets intolerant of this, that, or the other thing, we can just stop. It
yeah.
doesn't matter if he walks around with one naked butt cheek and one fuzzy one. We'll get the other one the next day, or whatever, however we end up doing it. And I think it'll be okay. I'll call Chelsea before, and I'll just ask her like, what are some tips for using these clippers? I know you can still nick people with the clippers, so. And she'll probably let me know how to like stretch his skin. I've watched her do it a little bit, and on like areas where he's got loose skin, like up at his crotch, like where his thigh is, you've got to like pull that skin taut when you shave over it because you don't want it getting nicked.
If we do that, it might be prudent to upgrade our scissors too.
Yeah, I mean, get ourselves a new pair of shears, but if that doesn't work out, then we'll just find him a groomer. I just hate taking him to a groomer because I just don't trust people, and he's such a sensitive soul, and I'm afraid people are being mean to him behind my back. So I gotta kind of know my groomers a little bit, or trust them a little bit. At least have one of us feel them out and interact with them and see if we catch a vibe from them that's bad, because it's just tough. I don't like turning him over to other people that I don't know. Tranquilizer dart? Yeah, I'll just dart him. Do you hear what they said about you, D? They said I should hit you with a tranquilizer dart and shave you. That's fucked up. But it might be a good idea, though. I might try that. The Icelandic women here in World War II loved the Yanks, as we would call them, because they bathed and were cleaner than Icelandic men, plus they had money. Damn. Iceland, y'all be stinking over there in Iceland and stuff? Y'all don't be bathing over there? Oh, that was the greatest era of Dinor's grooming life, was when I lived with Chelsea. Because Chelsea is just, she loved him so much. She would never hurt him. You know what I mean? It was so easy to, let her take care of him in that way. Because she just did it with she was just so loving with him and patient with him.
And she even put up with doing it at her house when she visited.
Well, that was fucking extra. Yeah. I mean, but it was just so nice of her to do it one last time for us while we were looking for a reasonable groomer.
We just gotten fucked with the first groomer we got, and we moved that to that area.
Yeah. We took him to a groomer that had reasonable ratings and stuff, and we picked him up, and he had water just like pouring out of one of his ears. Like they had rinsed out his ear, but had left a bunch of water down in his ear canal, and he just never stopped shaking his head for like a week. He had a big ass ear infection off in there, and I was just like, who knows what else they did to him off in there if they don't give a fuck like that.
Well, like we had to take him to the vet, and they had to like triple flush it out.
Yeah, they had to flush his poor little ear all the way out, and then we had to put shit in his ear for like a month.
And he hated it.
He hated it because it hurt and it stung probably when it went down off in there, and he wasn't a fan of it. But eventually it fixed his little ear, but it's like never again am I taking and dropping him off at some fucking place unless I know with some sort of reason. That's why we're, it was way more important that we get him groomed in the valley because it was 110 degrees for fucking 3 months straight. He would have just been sweating all day. Not sweating, because dogs can't sweat. Panting being uncomfortable inside and out, because we couldn't cool the house down below fucking 82 degrees in the real hot heat of it. Ugh. Anyway, it's just a thing with me, dude. And as he gets older, I feel more protective of him because, he's my little buddy. No, I know. An ear infection can be a really big deal in humans, let alone animals. So, it sucks. Hope you gave those groomers a bad rating at least. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
Amelia did, yeah. Amelia's very...
There's a picture of his fucked up ear on their review site.
Yep.
And they never bothered making an excuse and responding to it at all or anything, so it's just sitting there.
Oh, fuck them. Do you have pet insurance, Paul, and is it needed? I do not, but I have. So my little dog Boognish, she was so sickly and so in need of medical treatment monthly, sometimes weekly. She'd have to go in for this type of a treatment or to get this type of a, because they had these little, these different boosters that they gave her because she was so fucking hyper reactive to the main dog boosters. Mm-hmm. And they weren't enough to make her safe to be around other dogs, but they were enough to maybe protect her against like incidentals. Mm-hmm. And so we would take her in for that.
And they probably didn't last as long.
No, because they called them skin pops, mm-hmm. where they pop it under the first layer of her dermis and let it slowly seep in rather than shooting it deep into the muscle tissue like they do.
So like how like the old school smallpox vaccines were.
Exactly. And that was a 6-month treatment when she was a puppy, where it was every week we had to take her in to get 3 or 4 skin pops. And that helped her build some microimmune system because she had no immune system. That was what almost killed her, was that the whatchamacallits exposed the fact that her immune system was just not functioning. And so they did anyway, long story short, at that point in my life, I had pet insurance. And they offered a really good plan I used to take her to a Banfield that was inside of a Petco. And I'll never forget my doctor, dude. That doctor is the only reason that little dog lived as long as she did. Dr. Sahota was his name. And he saved her little butt, for sure. Gave her what little bit of a life she was able to have. 5 years is what that dog lived. Fucking sucked.
But she wouldn't have lived 5 months without him.
No. Dianor, on the other hand, is a very healthy dog, relatively speaking, right? He has had very, very few... Yeah, I'm talking about Boogie, yeah.
You're just using her proper name.
Boognish.
But yeah, so like a lot of people don't get pet insurance unless they know their pet's gonna have a lot of medical shit.
Yeah.
Which probably isn't ideal. Like, I think overall, if more people got it, it'd probably be cheaper for everyone. But just the way it is now, because it's so optional, most people don't get it unless their pets are sick on a regular basis.
Yeah. It wouldn't have made sense otherwise, but it wouldn't have been possible for us to get the type of treatment, because she would get sick and we'd have to take her in, and they would give her fluids and blah, 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 blah. And all of that stuff was way, way cheaper through our Banfield pet insurance. That it was actually like attainable for us to keep her, because we were, her whole life we were up against the really sad but honest wall of, can we afford to keep this fucking dog alive? Mm-hmm. Like how many of these treatments is too much?
Yeah. Well, it's not just about money too. It's about like, does she want a life of just being poked and prodded?
Well, that's ultimately why.
Yeah.
We made the decision to have her put down, because she was so sick, and they were telling us that she was going to be sick a lot, and that they were going to have to do this and that there was this type of therapy and that type of therapy. She was just going to be in the doctor, and it was going to be these huge, horrible flare-ups of this retching sickness that she had, where she couldn't drink, she couldn't eat, you had to force feed her water. And I was just like, You know, and you got the fucking doctors telling you, like, yeah, we can keep her alive. But it's like, it becomes a money issue, it becomes an ethics issue, and you have to reach that point where those two things collide, and you're like, enough. And, you know, it's a tough decision. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. But at the end of the day, it was correct. You know, she was not living any kind of standard of life. I wasn't able to take care of her, and what little I was able to take care of her wasn't enough. You know, I had a job, so towards the end, she would have needed me at home
to watch to make sure she wasn't doing
and to take care of things and give her medicine every hour and to force feed her fucking water every hour. And I just, what do you do? So yeah, it was rough, but you know, that is the final burden of pet ownership. And it's one of those things that you have to fucking think about before it happens. Because if you don't, you're completely unprepared, and you're just, you know, it's like I walked in, I was not prepared. When I took Boogie in, it was just another visit to the fucking vet. And it was another one of these, oh, well, her kidneys are failing, and her liver is failing, and we can give her this treatment and that treatment. And we can keep her overnight, and we can give her fluids, and we can blah, 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 blah. But there was no end prognosis. And it just, like, it came to me. I was like, this is not good for her. She's so sick. She's in so much pain. It's enough, you know? And now that I've been through that in my life, it'll, you know, I'm not saying it's going to be an easy thing when I have to do it next, but it'll be an easier thing because I understand the ethics of it. Because I, you know,
like my aunt with her little dog, she ended up making that call when he couldn't walk anymore because that was like one of his big quality of life things.
Yeah.
Just running around.
Right. Right. And that's the call you have to make. It's like, when is your dog no longer having a quality of life? Or when is your cat no longer having a quality of life? Or whatever animal you've got, right? If you're going to have that kind of relationship, then it is incumbent upon you to provide that mercy at the end of their life and to not prolong their suffering. And, you know, that is like I said, that's the ultimate final test of pet ownership for people. And,
you know, different pets will have different lines, too.
Yeah, no, for sure, yeah. You know, it's not the same every time, but I've been through a really extreme version of it.
Yeah.
And now I know what that ethical consideration is, and I'll be prepared for it at the very least, to the extent that you can be.
But Dionor is still, you heard him. He is full of all the piss and all the vinegar.
Yeah, he's a pissy, vinegary guy. He's an irascible little old man. Huh. Got the piss and the vinegar, D? You gonna lick my foot? Thanks. Thanks, bud. I'm not gonna return that favor if that's okay with you.
You got a lot of immune system. I don't know how you dodged both parasites your brother had, but...
He just don't care. He just don't put up with it. I don't put up with no parasite. I don't. I won't. I shan't. I can't. I think that I wouldn't be able to get another pet for a long time. I've had to go through that with my cat. I mean, that's the way it is for some people. For other people, part of the healing process is adopting another little animal. You know what I mean? It's an individual thing.
Yeah.
Everybody goes through it different.
You didn't know that you were going to get another one when you did until you did.
No. I held out for a long time. In fact, there was a lot of fucking... There was just a lot of discord around it because I had never been through it before. And it's like I, at that time, was just... I wasn't... After going through all that for months and years with Boogie, I wasn't ready to take that risk again. Just from an emotional standpoint, right? And my ex-wife was ready to adopt another little animal and to have a little, you know, and it wasn't like she was wrong and I was right. It's just, you know, you have to understand that people process things differently, and you can't force it, you know. I go to the pound immediately and rescue a new animal. I mean, sure. I've known people that are just like that. Can neighborly disputes turn deadly sometimes? And have you ever been in such a dispute? Not a deadly one, Jesus Christ, no. Yeah, I mean, I've had arguments with neighbors before, and had weird neighbors that, you know, were a little bit crazy or whatever. Yeah, I think that, you know, you live in enough apartments, you're gonna eventually bump into that. But nothing that was like unsolvable or, you know, so crazy that it drove me out of a building or whatever the fuck. I've never really had that level of... I keep to myself, dude. I'm not a nosy neighbor, and I'm not a ostentatious neighbor, and I'm not out in your face every fucking day, and so that has served me well, I think. A little bit of mind your own fucking business goes a long way, I think, with people. But you know, I've never butted up against like the nightmare neighbor or whatever the fuck. I did have a great time in the concert. Thanks, programmer. Dialogue is important. Most disputes can be talked out without violence. Sure, yeah. Most. Maybe not all. But most, sure. I'll give you that. What? I can get with that. I can pick up what you be putting down, yo. Anyways, I feel like picking herbs in a video game. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go pick some herbs. I'll see you guys some other time.